What's up? What's up? It's the After the Snow podcast. I'm your co-host, Dave Mays, coming to you live from Chi-Town, and my partner, Freeway Ricky Ross.
You already know. What up, Dave?
What's the word? What's the word, Rick? Where you at?
I'm in LA, man. That backdrop look like a picture, man.
Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it gets nice when we get the sunset look when we record in the evening like this, man. It gets some beautiful, beautiful sunset.
Yeah. I need to be in Chicago today. Was it hot today?
It was up in around the 80s. It wasn't too crazy. But you know, like especially down here, like we get so much nice breezes coming off the lake, you know, all through downtown and everything. And it's nice, man. It's really beautiful here.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day here too. We was about 76, 77 with a little breeze. So, you know, it was like lovely here, man. Like one of those dream days, you know, that come once in every 3 or 4 years. So
oh man. Nice. What'd you do? I know you're out on the tennis court. I seen you earlier working with the kids, but what else you get into? Anything?
What else I do today, man? I made a delivery today of my weed. You know, Ross Runts. You know, we got the Ross Runts out. I'm thinking about changing that name though, man. I was thinking Ross Runts is cool, but then I was saying the Ricky Ross Runts sound even better. What you think?
Yeah, Triple R, Ricky Ross Runts. Yeah, yeah.
And I got the word from the city. I got the word from the city. I can go ahead and do my paperwork, open up my dispensary. So I'm stoked about that. You know, right now, man, I'm just riding the wave, you know, like just having a ball, man. Life is good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Hard work pay off.
Absolutely. Gotta keep at it.
On my way to Boston too, your stomping ground.
Oh yeah, out to the Beam. What's going on out there?
Well, you know, my brand is out there, but I'm going out there for a speaking engagement. I'm gonna be doing a couple speaking engagements with some nonprofits, but I'm also going to drop by a couple dispensaries that carry my product and you know, holler at them and show some appreciation of them actually carrying my product. Because you know, here in LA, it's really tough, man, for Black products to get in stores. You know, they just not carrying our products, and I won't say that it's all racism. You know, some of it is economics. You know, because the guys with the big money, they buy shelf space, just like in supermarkets. You know, the big brands buy the best shelf space.
Man, it don't make no sense. I mean, you know what I mean? Like there's so many, you know, Black folks that got victimized by the drug laws for weed and, you know, all the other problems and systemic racist, you know, things that's been, you know, shown to the world, but then they'll go right back in, legalize weed, and you have to deal with the kind of stuff you're talking about, man.
Lock them out. Yeah, they call it lock it out. Well, they don't have to call it racism no more. It's economics now. You know, oh, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
You know, so just another form, you know.
Yeah. But we, you know.
But we gonna fight through. They got one.
Exactly.
They got one who don't care about having no money. You know what I'm saying? I like fighting through without no money. I like going against the odds. So
yeah,
I'm up against it. And you went up against all the big publishing companies and everybody. So you know how tough that
again, right now. You know how many all these companies putting hundreds of millions into podcasting, Spotify and Apple and Comcast. I mean, all these people pouring money into the podcast game. So, you know, there's heavy competition, but they're not doing what we're doing, you know, and how we're doing it. And that's going to make all the difference. So
no doubt. Shout out to Bill Bellamy, was on Breakfast Club. You know what I'm saying? Another one of the family members, you know, our family growing, man. We got people with clout too.
Exactly, man. Shout out to Bill, man. He's an incredible talent, hilarious, but he's a hip hop guy, you know, for years. He's hip hop to the bone. So, you know, that's what makes him such a great, you know, asset in the Breakbeat family, and me and him been spending a lot of time, just talking about the vision of the platform and what we can accomplish, to do for the culture really, and bringing new important voices and perspectives and information, and getting it out to the people. So yeah, Bill had a great look. They had him up on the Breakfast Club. Shout out to the Breakfast Club, Angela Yee, DJ Envy, and Charlemagne for having Bill up there. And yeah, man,
And
we
I've
we
been trying to
moving.
get on that thing, man, since they had the rapper on there. And he talked all that junk about me. I've been trying to get on there and rebut all of his false statements. You know what I'm saying? But so far I haven't been able to
Ah,
do that.
that's crazy, man. I got to talk to I'm gonna talk to our guy Amir. Has been helping us get all this stuff set up. I know he had talked to them, when we first launched our podcast earlier this year. I know you did. You did Ebro, but you didn't do Breakfast Club. I gotta
Now,
see
we
if
did
we
a
can
lot.
get.
He had me doing a lot of stuff. Places
Yeah,
that I had never been before. So that was good. To get to talk to some new people because you get tired of
yeah.
talking about the same. They ask you the same story over and over again. You be like, "Come on, man, I already answered that. Let's do something new."
Right, right. So, well, cool, man. Let's if you've got if you don't have anything else you want to cover, let's jump into Snowfall season 2,
That's what we
episode
here for.
3.
That's what we here for.
All right, so I want to get into the title of the episode. Usually we mention it, but this one is a little more to explain, I guess, about it. So the title of the episode is Prometheus Rising. Um, so of course I had to go look up Prometheus. I knew he was like a Greek
Glad
god or
you
something
did.
like that.
I'm glad you did because I wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah. So Prometheus was a Greek god, like the god of fire, and he basically stole fire and gave it to mankind through, they say, through technology, knowledge, introducing civilization into human existence, that type of thing. And then he was, tortured for doing that. But when I read a little bit more into it, I saw a parallel where his story is basically a story saying that, like, if you want to improve things in our world and make it better, that can also end in tragedy, which is him being tortured for what he did to try to help, civilization. But so what I got from that was like, kind of like, the means to an end type of thing going on here, where it's like, this crack is taking off, and there's potential and obviously damage to the community that begins to occur and gets worse, as we've learned, looking back in retrospect. And but there's a greater picture. Like, they're trying to do this. They still have goals, and they're up against the poverty and all the other obstacles of trying to make it out of South Central at that time in the 80s. So that's what I got out of the title, Prometheus Rising. I don't know what you think.
I don't know that. I mean, that's interesting. That you say that, and we used to kind of say when we were in the game, like when you strike a spot up, you set it on fire. Like you lit that spot up. A lot of people. That mean a lot of people was coming. They was checking in. Spending that money. So. It kind of goes together. I kind of get the picture now that you explained it to me what it means.
Right, right. Yeah, they some of their titles they put some real thought into. Some of them aren't as deep as that, but there are some interesting ones. Um, so yeah, let's talk about the episode. It's probably not the most excitement, but there are some interesting a lot of interesting twists and turns that are taking place. Um, it starts off with Franklin. He was in bed with the girl next door, Melody. She finds his gun when he's in the bathroom, and he tells her, yeah, that's Jerome's idea for me to be careful. And she's worrying about him and trying to understand what kind of danger he's in. So that's the first scene, and um, then they show Teddy and his brother Matt. They were on the plane flying to Colombia, having a good old time and telling jokes, and not really sure what they're getting into, which we'll see in this episode as well. So that's
And
kind
for
of
me, that was
their
probably
storyline.
that was the most exciting part of the show to me. Of this particular show, was Teddy and his brother sitting there with the cartel, and they going back and forth about whose country is a piece of shit and whose country is not a piece of shit, and so forth.
Right.
Um, to see Teddy and him still stand up under that type of pressure uh, was to me was interesting. Most people wouldn't fold
Yeah.
under that
Yeah.
kind of pressure.
Yeah. Teddy. Teddy is showing his courageous side, I guess, and he tries talking shit while he's got like 20 armed guys surrounding him and his brother, and they kind of beat him up a little bit because he's talking back to them, and he's impatient. But they have that conversation where the Colombian guys are basically talking shit about America. And, again, this is where this Snowfall show gets into putting out, some perspectives that I think are valuable and needed to, be understood more by the mainstream. So, yeah, one of the Colombians is like, yeah, your country murdered the Indians, you chained the blacks, you pissed on the Vatos. So, basically, fuck America. Like, don't come down here talking shit about Colombia and, when your country did all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was interesting. And like I said, that's the type of perspective that, is important that it's shared in a mainstream way. I still think that, a lot of people just can't put things in perspective, like that, in understanding the way of the world today and how it's all connected, and um, you know, the history of all this stuff here.
I can definitely relate to those statements because for me, I know that I have lived the Black American dream. From uh, going to prison, in the court system, having literally an all white jury, one Hispanic person, no blacks, uh, which was heartbreaking. You know what I'm saying? You when you think a jury of your peers, you would think that you would definitely have somebody on there that resemble yourself, but that
Yeah.
wasn't the case. I've experienced black and white bathrooms, you know,
Hmm.
in my lifetime. I've been told, hey, you can't use that bathroom because of your color of your skin. Um, wow, man, it's just so many things that we have had to experience in this country that I know when blacks saw that when they saw that scene, they were like, yeah, you're right. You're right for telling Teddy because sometimes that there's things that people want to say and they don't have the courage or the words to put it in, but when they see somebody else express that feeling that they have, they're going, yeah, right on, black power.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can definitely relate to that scene, with kudos for the
Yeah.
Colombians and the Mexican cartels.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much Teddy's storyline for the episode is his trip down there. The one last part about it that I thought was funny, after they give that whole thing about how terrible America is, then they're like sitting down when he finally gets to meet with the main dudes, and they're, chopping it up, trying to get everything worked out. They're like, okay, but we need a few extra favors. We need 25 copies of Michael Jackson's Thriller album. We need some Cabbage Patch dolls, some sheepskin condoms, and those Christmas lights. Like, so it's like, on the one hand, you're talking shit about America, but then the next thing is you want all these material items from America and American culture. So they balance it with that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's also making another statement that, America has the ability to be, one of the greatest countries ever. If it can contain itself and contain its racism and its bias, for others.
That's right. I wholeheartedly agree, and I, I believe we can get there. It's been a long road, but I believe we can get there with the right things happening. Um, so that's kind of Teddy and his brother. They fly back and they have some more conversations about everything. His brother doesn't like, Teddy thinking he should make all the decisions. He's like, you damn near just almost got us killed. I'm the one that got us out of everything. So, we promised them visas, and Teddy's got to figure out how he's going to get visas for them as well. Now that he supposedly don't have his government hookup like he used to.
Well, that kind of relates to my case too. In my case, they forged my informant's green card. They gave him
Oh,
an
I
illegal
didn't know
green
that.
card. Yeah.
Huh.
So that kind
Okay.
of, not really relate, but kind of, just surfacing, where because they couldn't come out and say, well, they could have came and said that the INS agent uh, cooperated with the CIA agent and gave him a fake green card. You know,
Hmm.
that would have been too
Right.
obvious, I guess.
Right. 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 Interesting. Interesting.
But
Yeah, that
we
looked
had
like
that
they did.
situation in our thing, and they didn't fire the INS agent for doing it, but they definitely promoted him, so he can't issue our
Hmm.
green cards anymore.
Hmm.
He
Got
wasn't
it.
trustworthy to handle the green card issue. He might have been taking the pay.
Right.
We don't know how many green cards he had issued out illegally.
So the other thing that's going on this episode is, dealing with uh, the two guys, young dealers on the street over there in the Mexican neighborhood that got killed, stabbed up by one of the Mexican cartel guys, and Kevin finds out about it. It's his cousin. Um, that he's very close to, is one of the ones that got killed. He's flipping out. He wants to take revenge immediately. He gets Leon and Jerome all, gassed up, and they load up the car with guns and they head over there, and nobody knows where Franklin is yet. Fuck it, we got to do this. Fuck Franklin. And luckily, Louis hooks up with Franklin and brings him over there, and Franklin shuts down their play that they were trying to make. Just what could have ended up them just randomly shooting up a bunch of people in the Mexican neighborhood, as a way of trying to get back for what happened to them, or to their people.
Yeah, innocent people would have got killed. Lucky
Yeah.
Louis had the cool head to get that squashed. Um, I can remember incidents, similar, not exactly like that, but incidents where a lot of people could have got hurt. Let me say that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so somebody got to have a cool head. It was good that Franklin was even able to calm him down. I'm surprised that they took to his word so easily. When I try to cool
Yeah.
my guys down, it was a lot harder than that.
Mhm. Yeah, well, Kev is the one that he hasn't been able to quiet down. We see them, you know, at odds throughout the rest of the episode. Um, but it was interesting to see. I mean, Jerome kind of, you know, took a little responsibility for messing up, and but really Leon was the one who came up to um, Franklin at one point and said, "Hey, man, you know, I screwed up. I should have never gotten that car. I shouldn't have, you know, allowed all this to happen. You were right in how you handled it. You shouldn't feel bad. Kev was out of line, and you know, that was interesting. Jerome, Franklin had to scream on him because, you know, when they're back at the house and it's all, you know, everybody's, you know, talking, you know, really arguing about the situation. And it comes out that these were the two guys dealing at Pico Union. Franklin's like, I thought we said don't sell in that Mexican neighborhood. And Jerome's like, well, I told him not to, but I can't, you know. And Franklin's like, no, buddy, like you gotta, if we tell somebody that they got to do something, we need to make sure they follow the rules, and you know, no excuses type of thing. So he was really on Jerome about that.
Yeah, that was um, that was interesting, but to me it was kind of slow for the movie. It slowed it down. It wasn't moving at a pace that I would have liked for it to move to. I thought it was a lot more things that could have been added in there uh, that would have kept it going strong. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's my opinion.
Well, you know what it made me think about. You know what I when I took a step back and just kind of thought about the episode as a whole. Um, you know, you're seeing Franklin kind of, you know, emerging to another level of leadership in building this organization and
Bossing up.
having to, yeah, having to come in and shut that down, having to put people in their place, having to, you know, do different things. Um, and, you know, that made me start thinking about like stuff I know I went through and I'm sure you went through, like, you know, becoming a boss, how you deal with business partners, how you deal with your
Family
employees
members,
and family members,
which are some of
and
the toughest.
yeah, the challenges within all of those. Because you know, I've dealt with that my whole career. Is, you know, how to manage employees, how to manage, you know, your relationships with your partners or people that you're doing business with, and how, you know, difficult that can be, challenging that can be.
Can you
Um,
separate family from business? That's one of the toughest things that I've had to deal with is people understanding because you make a business decision, it's not a family decision. A lot of times you make a call and it's against that person and they take it as if it was a call against the family.
mhm. Yeah,
I know you've been through that too.
definitely, definitely.
I'm going through that
But
right now, today, having to make decisions that are not favorable to the family. The family disagrees with it, but at the same time, that this decision is going to help the business.
yeah,
And sometimes it look like you might be turning your back on the family.
yeah, yeah. And then just, yeah, like, you know, just dealing with, you know, how do you keep people motivated within your organization? How do you balance, you know, between encouraging them, but also, you know, kind of making sure that things are getting done right, and everything's, you know, being thorough, because you got, you know, to succeed in business, you got to be thorough. You got to be thorough if you want to really succeed in a big way and in the long run. You know, it's very hard to be successful and have a lot of loose ends and cutting corners. You know, you can do that for only but so long. At least in my experience, I found, you know, you got to be really on top of that. And the
Well, it all
people
catches
is,
up. If you're cutting corners, it's going to catch up.
yeah,
You can only hide so long. They say what's in the dark will come to the light. So you're absolutely correct. You can't cut corners. You can't be hiding behind the desk or ducking out. When the boss comes, all that stuff eventually comes to a head, and everybody's going to see you for what it is.
Yeah. Um, so to just kind of get into what happens in the last, I guess, the last part of the episode, the killing of the guys by the Mexicans opens the door for Franklin to reach out to Lucia, because we remember, like last episode, Lucia had discovered the crack rock that the guys were selling out there in the Mexican neighborhood. She came back around, bought it all out, gave them her card. She's trying to find out how to get this crack rock so she can broker it into all the Mexican territories with the people that she's been linking up with, these, heads of these Mexican gangs and cartels there. So when they put that together, that this is where it happened, Franklin's like, well, man, you didn't think to call, this person, like she probably knows what's going on. And he makes the call, and they agree to set up a meeting in the park. I'm trying to remember the name of the park. They said, let's see if you knew the park. Thought I wrote it down. Yeah, I can't find it. But in any event, they agree to meet up in the park, and so Franklin, Jerome, Kev, and Leon head out to the park, and Lucia and Oso show up, and of course Franklin and Leon recognize Oso from seeing him at the wrestling, and of course Franklin had run into Oso when he was out there getting
Getting
cornered in
killed.
the yes,
About to
and
be executed.
has saved his ass. But Franklin and Lucia go have a conversation. Franklin's trying to get information on who's responsible for killing, his family members or Kev's family members, and wants to know what's going to be done to fix it. She's basically telling him, the guy who did it is like one of the most powerful people in the city, and you'll have, all hell will break loose if you try to do something. But I'll try to find out more specifics, but mainly she wants to make a deal with him on buying the crack rock, or I guess eventually trying to figure out how to make it herself. But it seems like in the beginning.
What I was wondering is how would she have known who committed the murder? I mean, I do know that she told him that they were down there selling, but does that alone show evidence of her knowing who did it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. But she did say she didn't really know. She probably knows that's his territory, because she said, I'm gonna look into it and try to find
Gotcha.
out more details. So maybe she
Gotcha.
had an idea, but was gonna make a couple calls to to really check it out and find out what happened. Which I think she does later when she comes back to him, is kind of telling him, oh, they didn't get castrated because they're hearing, Franklin and Kevin, them are hearing that they castrated them, and this was just crazy, and she's saying that didn't happen. But nevertheless, this is what opens up the connection now between Lucia and Oso and Franklin to start doing business together. So we're gonna see where that leads. Um, um,
Well,
Meanwhile, go ahead.
I guess that they also show how small the drug circle was. That um, these are really the only two people that we know in LA that's inside the drug business, and now um, they bumped heads. For whatever reason it was, they're now acquainted with each other. So
Mm-hmm.
the drugs brought them together. I
Mm-hmm.
would say.
Mm-hmm. Um, Pedro's back. We saw that last episode, and now he's decided he wants to hang around. He wants to be part of the business, and he's got this new woman he's about to marry. Um, Lucia has a guy who's been investigating, trying to find Pedro for all these months. And she's talking to him, and he's telling her, well, yeah, Pedro, she's like, well, how did you get away? You found out he was just in Texas and, Arizona. He was all right around here, and you couldn't find him all this time. Oh, he was really smart. He only used cash. And he's telling Lucia that he checked out the girlfriend and got her background, and she's basically nobody. So I think there's still a lot of concern about that. Oso goes to meet someone. I was trying to figure out, was it like a palm reader type of woman? Remember, he goes to see the woman, or was it a family member that's kind of giving him this advice about what's going on with, who to be worried about, and, all that kind of thing. That was an interesting scene.
Yeah. Well, a lot of Hispanic people, they use fortune tellers, I guess it is, or palm readers, card readers, to help them make decisions. I know a lot of the cartel members also use that type of system to help them make their decisions.
Right.
My mom used to use them as well. I've been to those type of people. My mom them call them prophesizers. They can prophesize your future, what they see coming to you. And
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. Sometimes those people are right. I've been read a few times, and what they said came true.
Interesting. I don't think I've never really sat through one of those, but you know, right,
I don't know. I
right.
guess it's some talents that some people have. It's almost like they read your mind. Almost, they can just sit there and just pick pick you apart.
Yeah. Um, the last kind of theme that I noticed that came out in a couple parts of this episode was just the idea of young men growing up without fathers. Because first it comes up, I think, when Leon and Franklin are talking about Kevin, and Leon said something like, yeah, well, Kev didn't grow up with, you know, a dad, and he's a little, off sometimes, or whatever he was saying. And then Franklin was like, but neither did you. And look at you. And then it also came up when Oso and Lucia were talking about things, and they were talking about like the killing of those kids and the guy that did it, and I guess that guy's a bad guy, and there was some mention within there about like uh, those kind of men are just in this for the glory, and but Lucia's like, but yeah, they need to be teaching kids to grow up as fathers and not killers, was kind of the words that she used. So to me, those are similar kind of storylines in this episode, trying to bring up this idea that growing up without a strong father figure can have a detrimental effect.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would attest to that as well. Um, it was only, I think, two of us that grew up in our group that had fathers, still living in the house. And amazing, neither one of those guys went to prison for a long time. I don't know what that attributes to. Was it the father being there, or having the ability to put their money in the right place, at the right time, having somebody to guide them. Um, but so many things that a father would do for a son that that I really had to learn on the streets, from somebody that I didn't know, and a lot of times those people take advantage of you. They don't have your best interests at heart. They're in it for your money, and that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I glossed over it, but that scene where Franklin slaps Kevin and Kev pulls a gun out on him, I thought we should at least just touch on that. That was kind of wild. What'd you think of
Yeah.
that?
Um, wow, it was wow. I mean, it wouldn't have been something I would have did as a boss. We had pretty much. I felt they'd already squashed the drive by situation. Um, Kev was still venting, and I felt that he should have been allowed to vent as long as he didn't take any actions. And at that time, I didn't see him um, ready or willing to take any action right then and there. I mean, he was still talking, crazy, but I don't know if a slap was the appropriate thing to do at that time.
Right, right. Um,
And Franklin's lucky he
well,
didn't get shot. You
yeah,
slap the wrong guy, and they kill you.
yeah, yeah. Um, well, before we wrap, the very, very last scene of the episode, they show Franklin's dad. They showed him in the beginning, and then right at the end again, that he's out on the street, he's homeless, um, and I guess he's living where a bunch of homeless people were. It looks like kind of under a freeway underpass type of thing, and the police are lining up to just go in there and throw these homeless people out, beat them up, tear their stuff down, burn their stuff up. I mean, it was pretty nasty, graphic scene at the very end. So I wanted to get your take on that and just your recollections of the use of this kind of heavy police force back in the day.
But you know what? I didn't really remember the homeless population. We had Skid Row at that time, but it wasn't um, nowhere near like it is right now. It was a sector of town where people, hung out around the bus station that was homeless. Um, and I know at those places they sold a lot of cocaine, heroin, pills. It was kind of like a hot spot for if you wanted to sell some drugs. But I never knew the cops to attack them like they do right now. Now they come out with these bulldozers and um, army, a force of police officers, and they literally tear these tents down and houses made out of scrap wood and tires and couches and mattresses, just whatever these people can scrap together. They make houses out of them, and it's an eyesore for the community. I mean, they have one right here at the edge of my street. And even though I feel sorry for the homeless, nobody wants that type of activity right on their own street.
Yeah. Um. All right. Well, this was a recap and analysis of Snowfall season 2, episode 3, as part of the weekly After the Snow podcast that we host here. I'm Dave Mays, and I got Freeway Rick Ross, my partner in this in this venture and this journey we're on after the snow, and we want to thank you guys for checking us out. You can, go to the Breakbeat Media YouTube and watch us if you're listening on any of the podcast apps. You can listen to us, Apple, Spotify, and so on down the line. Check us out every week.
No doubt, no doubt. Hopefully next week gonna be better, more exciting, more action, because I know that's what you guys are looking for, and we're gonna break it
Yes,
down for you.
that's what's up.
Hey, Dave, thank you again, as always.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Rick, man. Appreciate you.